Did the Phillies win last night? Newsflash, they did. Am I allowed to talk about a win? Am I allowed to be positive for a minute? Or because I was negative yesterday, am I not a real fan? We're going to talk about the Phillies. What changes they need to make and the leaders that got to step up for the Phillies. Eagles, yesterday during the show, Jaire Alexander released by the Green Bay Packers. Do I want the Eagles to sign Jaire Alexander? My answer may surprise you. Trending in the AM, we are live talking all this and so much more. It is U.S. Open week. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on the STT Sports Network. We're live, as always, YouTube and Twitter. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and of course, please subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it. Heck, hit the share button, turn the notifications on. If you're watching on Twitter, please do me that favor and head on over to the STT Sports Network YouTube page and subscribe there as well. 532 subscribers. The slow crawl to 1,000 is still on, guys. So please like, share, subscribe. It's free to do. Doesn't cost you a thing to do. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, guys, and we got lots to talk about. Phillies won a game last night, 4-3. Oddly, in small ball fashion. So we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. And am I allowed to say good things or not? I don't know. We're going to talk about the game, the good, the bad, and the ugly from last night. And what needs to change with the Phillies, specifically, to turn the tides, to make the non-believers, like me, believers in this team. Non-drastic changes. We're not going to talk about fire Rob Thompson today or fire Dave Dombrowski. Well, I think that they could help. I know it's an unrealistic thing. So we're going to talk about what changes I think the Phillies need to make. Can't make 12 changes. They need a lot of things fixed. They can't do that. They can make some tweaks. We're going to talk about it. Eagles open up their lone single-day mandatory minicamp today. Everybody's going to be in the house at the NovaCare complex today. Everybody's going to be practicing, or at least working today. What do we expect out of today? Do we expect anything out of today? And, of course, the poll question running on YouTube today. Should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander, released by the Green Bay Packers, two-time second-team All-Pro cornerback? Do you want the Eagles to go out and sign Jaire Alexander? And if they did, does that spell the end of the Keely Ringo era in Philadelphia with the Eagles? They're the topics I got to kick off the show. Where the conversation will go from there, who knows? But right to the comments quickly and early. Good morning, Rick. How are you? Jaire Alexander, not a good teammate. Yeah, there's a lot of good and bad that we could say about Jaire Alexander. I mean, there's no doubt in his talent. There's doubt in his ability to stay healthy. There's doubt in his teammate ability. So there's lots there to get into. Good morning, Adam. Yes, we won last night. So World Series, here we come. Why not overreact a little bit like that? Small ball wins games. I wish the Philadelphia Phillies would bunt more often, would advance the runners more often, play that small ball style more frequently. They did a great job at it last night. Otto Kemp, great game. I don't know if I'd say great game. He was 3 for 5. Weren't two of those hits infield hits, though? Like, one was like a chopper. One was almost a near bunt. Like, good game for him. He got a couple hits. He got off the schneid. Good for him. Now we got to see the Otto Kemp that hit like 400 home runs in AAA. Now that's what we need to see. Good morning, Jim. Great Phillies win last night, but this team won't win in the playoffs unless we make some moves. Well, Big Jim, where's the update? You're my inside source. You had a Texas Ranger scout sitting next to you at the game. Who was the scout scouting? Why was the Texas Rangers scout there? I looked at the Texas Rangers roster. Breaking news to everybody. Jim told me he was sitting next to a Texas Rangers scout last night. Who on the Rangers do we even want? Probably nobody. Who were the Rangers scouting? That's the question. But Dombrowski does need to come up big. And do we have faith in Dave Dombrowski? See, the problem is with the Philadelphia Phillies is that there's only so many moves that you can make at this point of the season by the deadline. That the Phillies have more issues that need changed on the field than you can make moves. Like, you need 2 to 3 bullpen arms. You need a left fielder or a center fielder or both. You need a bench bat. You need 5, 6 players in theory. But in theory, you're only going to make 2 or 3 trades. You might bring in 3 new players, maybe 4. So we got to prioritize what's the most important thing. And then our leaders, the Bryce Harpers when he returns, the Kyle Schwarbers of the world, the Trey Turners of the world, need to lead the rest of the guys to get their heads out of their asses and do a better job. The scout only lasted 2 innings, so must not have liked what he saw. Who failed in the first 2 innings or did well in the first 2 innings? The Phillies didn't score in the first 2 innings. Zack Wheeler was okay in those first 2 innings. I wonder what the deal was with the scout at the game last night. That would be very interesting. But you watch last night's game. They're giving, obviously, Otto Kemp a chance. We don't know what the deal is with Justin Crawford, why he's not even playing in AAA, whether it's a quad, whether it's a personal issue, whether it's a combination or both. But you hear before yesterday's game, after Sunday's game, you hear Rob Thompson say, we're going to make changes to the lineup. And what does he do last night? He trots out Weston Wilson again. And, I don't blame Rob Thompson. He's been given a shitty team. Okay? But there's no scenario where there's not one person on the Phillies 40-man roster or even off the 40-man roster, because you can just cut Weston Wilson. There's not one better option in our system than Weston Wilson out there. I know he came up with an RBI hit last night. I know. It doesn't make putting Weston Wilson out there a good idea. Weston Wilson's terrible. Max Kepler is below average. Johan Rojas, he is what he is. Brandon Marsh, unplayable. That's all on Dave Dombrowski. But you're telling me there's not somebody better than Weston Wilson that you could play? Big problem. Tired of wasting Wheeler gems. No offense, but absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Zack Wheeler went 6 innings, gave up 1 run. Zack Wheeler pitched great last night. Had a battle through a tough lineup. So his pitch count got up there. Only got through 6 innings. Then when he came out in the 6th inning, I had zero faith in the Phillies winning the game. Because that bullpen is atrocious. Look, I'm giving Rob Thompson, Rick, all the credit in the world, honestly, today. I started yesterday afternoon, last night. But I'm giving him all the credit in the world. You know why? Because he's been kind of screwed here by Dave Dombrowski. Having a team with Max Kepler, Marsh, when you got Max Kepler, Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, and Weston Wilson, they're your best options in left and center field. This is not good enough. When your bullpen is what it is, that's not on Rob Thompson. He can only throw out there the guys that he's got. Dave Dombrowski has to take a huge chunk of the blame here. And I appreciate them playing small ball and doing better last night. I do. But the confidence didn't grow last night. Good morning, Duck. How you doing? Good morning, K1, and welcome to the Philluminati. Rick says, don't think they'll sign Alexander, but even if they did, they're not getting rid of Ringo. That would make no sense. Yeah, no. I actually think if they sign Jaire Alexander, it would signal the end of someone like Eli Ricks or Adoree Jackson. I don't think they'll sign Jaire Alexander, I also don't want them to sign Jaire Alexander. What's Jaire Alexander going to cost? Now, if you can get Jaire Alexander on a 1-year, heavy incentive-laden deal, absolutely. But the guy's missed a lot of time. He's missed 30 games in 4 years, 20 over the last 34 games. Yeah, he's a 2-time All-Pro, 12 interceptions. He's 28 years old. But Jaire Alexander has a history of injuries, 1. 2, doesn't fit the MO. Pay your young superstars and sign veterans to cheap contracts. Doesn't fit that. He's not going to, like I saw someone say, well, maybe the allure for playing the Super Bowl champions, in Philly will convince Jaire Alexander to take a discount. I don't think so. The problem with Jaire Alexander in Green Bay was he wasn't willing to renegotiate his contract to take a discount for the Green Bay Packers. Had nothing to do with his play on the field. Had the fact he was making a lot of money to not be on the field. And guys, we got a poll on the YouTube page, and it looks like it's working today. We're up to 9 votes. Should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander? Now, I am not confident in our secondary yet. Today's minicamp, big day for someone like Kelee Ringo to impress again. Eli Ricks, I don't even know whatever happened to Eli Ricks. Like, why hasn't he ever progressed? Mac McWilliams, Cooper Dejean. It's a big day for the secondary. The safeties, Sidney Brown, Drew Makuba, Tristan McCollum. It's a big day. And then they got 5 weeks till training camp starts. Jaire Alexander, if he's available, say August 1st still, and no one signed him, sure. Maybe you bring him in on that cheap deal. Okay? But it's the same thing with Justin Simmons. It's not the direction the Eagles are looking to go. Older guys. Unless they're super cheap. These guys, Simmons and Alexander, they want big deals. They want big money. They think that they're a certain level. But that's not what the Eagles are paying. So let them go elsewhere. Would I like to see Jaire Alexander go to the Commanders or the Cowboys or the Lions or something? No, I would hate to see it. It doesn't mean you overpay and bring somebody in. And whose roster spot does he take? Does he take Kelee Ringo's starting spot? And you're developing Kelee Ringo to be the starter. You bring in Jaire Alexander, he's back to being a bench guy. You totally stunt his growth, Kelee Ringo. He's the team's manager. He needs to make it work. Talking about Rob Thompson and me having pity on Rob Thompson. He's got to make it work better. Sure. He's got to light a spark somehow, obviously. Hear Rob Thompson before the game yesterday, Duck, talking about Kevin Long. He's the best hitting coach in baseball, he said. Obviously, we see that's a load of horseshit. So maybe a little bit more honesty, a little bit more tough love from Rob Thompson would be appreciated. Bullpen needs to be fixed. You're on the clock, Dombrowski. See, the thing is, Rick, can you even fully fix it? Like, what's the best you're going to do? Bring in 2 bullpen arms here? I don't even know if 2 bullpen arms is enough. Go out and get an elite closer and then an extra guy for the 7th or 8th inning. Go get a lefty that can, for sure, have a killer slider to get strikeouts in the 8th inning. That's it. You're still going to have Jordan Romano on the roster. You're still going to have Carlos Hernandez on the roster. You cannot help the club from the tub concerning Jaire Alexander, 100%. He does have, as Duck says, a Dallas Goedert problem. He's always hurt. What's up, Michigan Panthers, we're going to call you today. That's fire, K1. Never heard that before. What, you can't up the club from the tub? I've been saying that on this show for like 2 years. That's not that new. Help the club from the tub. He's stealing that from me. You can't trademark something I started. I didn't even start it. I stole it from somebody else. Kevin Long stinks. My 11-year-old could do a better job. But yet Rob Thompson's out there saying he's the best hitting coach in game. Well, maybe. You don't have to throw your coach under the bus, but maybe Rob Thompson says, well, Kevin Long might need to sit down and go over some more film and figure out ways to make sense. He didn't have to say he was great. He didn't have to say he was bad. He could have just answered the question in a way where he let Kevin Long know, I got my eye on you. But when your boss says you're the best in the game at what you do, when the team clearly has a problem, that again is furthering this complacency attitude where no one's worried about their job. No one's worried about their spot on the team. It's all good. Don't worry. We're the best. Don't worry. Didn't Rob Thompson a few weeks ago say, or earlier in the season say, we're at the same place we were record-wise last year, and see how great that worked out? That didn't work out great. Too much complacency with the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think that might be the new word of the day, complacency. You don't see the Eagles being complacent just because they won the Super Bowl. They're working their tail off because they won a second Super Bowl, a third Super Bowl, a fourth Super Bowl. Phillies don't even have a championship yet, and they're complacent. Even with the team he's given, he should never have gotten swept by the – yeah, well, if I was Rob Thompson and we lost the first two games to Pittsburgh, you better well believe on Sunday morning I was walking to that clubhouse lighting a fire under those players. You better not get swept, putting the pressure on them. Noom says, I believe that Topper believes that about Kevin Long. He might really believe that. But does he not understand how dumb it makes him sound? Does he not realize how asinine he sounds when he says that? He could believe it. He could phrase it in a way that doesn't make him sound clueless. That's really funny. Can't up the club from the tub. Who said that in the chat? Yeah, stop. I'm not stealing nothing. You. See, eye contact right here. You're stealing something that I already stole from somebody else. Yeah, there is a copy. Oh, man. K1's going to report me to YouTube or something like that for copyright content. And I'll be really pissed off if you did that. It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. All right. It's like Ovaltine, right? It's gold. Anyway. Rob Thompson, the Phillies win yesterday. Jaire Alexander, do you want him on the Eagles or not? They're the topics here. I got some other things written down here. I fully still believe on the Eagles side of the equation. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Jaire Alexander, Justin Simmons, anybody else out there, Trey Hendrickson, none of those names, Jadeveon Clowney, none of those names are coming to the Philadelphia Eagles anytime soon. Howie Roseman, I feel, is locked in set with his, whatever, it's 90, 92 players to head into training camp. He wants to give Nick Sirianni, Vic Fangio, I almost said Kellen Moore, Kevin Petula, at a minimum, the first 2 weeks of training camp to see what they have in these young players. They got about $25, $27 million in cap space. They want the ability to roll all of that extra cap space over into next year. And even if you sign, say, Jaire Alexander to an insane laden contract, which I don't think he would take, that's going to cut into that $27 million. They need that money next year. Cubs fans cannot be thrilled with stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah, where's my man Dale Carlson? He's a big Cubs fan. I believe Kevin Long is a big part why this Phillies team will never win anything. Now, look, I kind of feel the hitting coach in baseball is always the scapegoat on a team. The players got to hit better. The coaches got to coach better. The GM's got to put better players together. But all the complaints about this team, yes, Kevin Long is going to be the one that takes the bullet for the struggles or the inconsistencies. Now, I don't think it's necessarily fair. Kevin Long can coach these guys up all he wants. Once they get to the plate, if they don't have the same approach, they break what they're taught and go back to bad habits, a la Nick Castellanos swinging at that ball every single first pitch of every at-bat. Is it really Kevin Long's fault? Probably not. But he will be the scapegoat. Now, is he the only reason why this team's held back? No. Is he part of the problem? Absolutely. And since Kevin Long has so many friends, how close he is with the players and Rob Thompson, maybe firing Kevin Long would be that spark to light a fuse. It says, oh, complacency isn't acceptable anymore. I don't know if firing Kevin Long would do that, but maybe it would. Rick says, Alexander doesn't fit the Eagles' culture. Selfish guy. This is a true team. Let him take that toxic shit. Absolutely. I mean, I see that, and I've heard that about him. I also just don't want him straight up because of the injury history. We don't need a 28-year-old guy that's played 14 of his last 34 games that he's been eligible to play because of injury. He's coming off a knee injury. I forget which knee it was. I don't know what all his injuries are. But I don't need a guy that's missed 30 games in 4 years, 20 of his last 34. Yeah, I know he's great. And a couple of years ago, the last time he played a full season, he had 5 or 6 interceptions. We don't have a proven ball hawk in our secondary anymore with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gone. And yeah, Jaire Alexander next to Quinion Mitchell gets to keep Cooper Dejean in the slot. Solves a lot of issues. But it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the story that Howie Roseman's been telling for 2 years now on how he's building this team for long-term success. Alexander will not take a cheap enough prove-it deal. Exactly. Like I saw a bunch of different reporters out there saying, well, maybe the allure of playing for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, who also have a very possible pathway back to the Super Bowl, would entice someone like Alexander to take a cheap deal. I'm just making up numbers. I didn't see these numbers anywhere. Instead of wanting $12 million, takes $5 million with incentives up to $15 million. Like, that's not. Alexander's not going to take that kind of a deal. He's just not. Now, maybe there's an older edge rusher out there that would do that. Maybe Justin Simmons now, after all these years, might actually do that eventually. But right now, as it stands, Alexander ain't doing that. Alexander belongs on the Lions. They absolutely love injury-prone players, K1. That is spot on. 100% accurate in that statement there, 100%. Guys, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're hitting that share and subscribe button. And make sure you vote on the poll on the YouTube page. Should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander? And you guys are going to want to subscribe, okay? And you're going to want to turn the notifications on. Lined up 2 great guests for later this week. Tomorrow on this show, talking Phillies and Eagles, formerly in 97.5, formerly NBC Sports Philly. Currently, 1/3 of the cheap seats on all Philly. Jason Ashworth. Love Jason. Jason and I have been going back and forth on Twitter for a very long time. Love Jason Ashworth. He'll be on the show tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. We're going to start with the Phillies, and then we're going to probably move into a little bit of Eagles talk with him. And then on Thursday, recapping today's OTAs with me. Of course, one of my favorites. Been on the show plenty of times. From SI, Ed Kratz. You're not going to want to miss that on Thursday. I'm working on a very special baseball guest. We're going to try for next week on that one. Long is the scapegoat because no one's approach has improved. Now, who's to say, Anthony, that he hasn't tried to tell these guys to change their approach? We've heard in the past that they've tried to change Nick Castellanos' approach, and he just doesn't do it. He likes to do things his own way. Who says he hasn't tried and that they're not listening? But if they're not listening to him and they fire him, maybe that'll light the spark that the next guy that steps in, everyone keeps mentioning Howie Kendrick's name, maybe they'll actually listen to him. Dallas can't afford Alexander. They can't afford anything in Dallas. Too many Girardi holdovers for that club to be broken up. It's kind of crazy. It's a very interesting point here, Nooms. We fired Joe Girardi, but we kept Joe Girardi's staff. And the Joe Girardi staff mostly is still here. It's kind of something that goes under the radar and isn't talked about enough. I don't care where he takes his toxic shit. Just keep it out here. Absolutely. Look, we don't need toxic. We don't need locker room cancers or anything like that. We're trying to win another Super Bowl. T.O. was great too, and he never won shit. Toxic doesn't win a lot of championships in this league. Yeah. Bunting skills were spot on. The bunting skills were spot on yesterday. And I asked the question, Rick, Where's that been all year? Why? I need to live stream the US Open. Remember how many subs you got during the Masters? So here's the thing. So Thursday and Friday show, I'll have the Masters on here. We'll be talking Masters along with everything else while the U.S. Open while it's going on Thursday and Friday. I'm thinking of going live for the U.S. Open final round Sunday. Sunday's also Father's Day. How many people are going to be tuning in on Father's Day? Plus, I'm a dog dad. Do I really want to waste my Sunday on daddy dog Father's Day? I don't know. Maybe I'll go live for a couple. I don't know. We're going to play it by ear. We're going to see what happens on Sunday. Phil, I don't get it. If Nick isn't listening to coaches, put his ass on the bench. I mean, it sounds easy to put Nick Castellanos on the bench. But honestly, Anthony, for as much as we complain about Nick Castellanos, he's consistently one of our better hitters. He's frustrating beyond belief. But, I mean, Nick Castellanos is hit 288, and he's got about a 750 OPS. There's not many players on this team that have those kind of numbers. He's got 32 RBI. One of our top RBI guys, one of our top, honestly, in last night's starting lineup, he had the second highest average in the starting lineup. So you can't sit him. He might be frustrated. Beyond belief. And I get frustrated. If I was a pitcher, I would never throw Nick Castellanos anything but a slider on the outside of the plate. He's going to swing at it every time. And you can't take him out of the line. Not when, what are your other options? You're going to put Max Kepler in there? No. But him not listening is because of complacency. The other hitters not listening, complacency. Trey Turner's the only one that listens. Trey Turner's gone to a base hit kind of guy, line drive hitter this year. Maybe that's Kevin Long's doing. But if you fire Kevin Long, maybe that tells everybody else, all right, shit. All right, we're not safe. Exactly. I mean, the dude's average-wise one of our best hitters, one of our top RBI guys. You can't sit him. Schwartz and Casty aside, I'm hard-pressed to find people that improve their consistency. I think Trey Turner, Nooms, has improved his consistency in his approach. I think Schwarber, getting dropped in the lineup out of the leadoff spot, which, by the way, him in the two-hole is just weird. Doesn't make sense to me at all, Kyle Schwarber in the two-hole. Kyle Schwarber has improved his approach being dropped from the leadoff spot to the four-hole most of this year. And I do respect him for that. Casty hasn't changed much. Casty's just hitting a little bit better this year. Trey Turner and Schwartz changed the most, in my opinion. Hey, give me an idea. I don't know. I got to think about it. You're asking me to give up a Sunday. And I might. Depends on what the two dads from Fairway to Heaven, Jason and Steven, want to do as well. Like, I'm not going to go for 4 hours by myself. Cass, one of the bright spots on the team. He absolutely is. And, people are very hard on Nick Castellanos, Rick. Out of all the people, I'm never hard on Nick Castellanos. I think he's an extremely underappreciated defensive player. And while he's frustrating, he's still a good player. Negative WAR this year, him being better than the other terrible option doesn't make him good. See, I think Nick Castellanos spending any time trying to talk negative things about Nick Castellanos are just unnecessary. Because he's one of the better players on the team. There's so many far more people, worse people that deserve our criticism than Nick Castellanos. And the WAR wins above replacement. It's a very analytic stat. It's not a new stat, but it's analytic. Look, is he getting on base? Is he driving and runs? Castellanos doing that better than 90% of the Phillies team at this point. Back a baseball card is a real meaning this team is eventually going to break out and start slugging big time. Watch out whoever's in their way. It's when they break out, so then they follow that 10-game stretch of going 8-2 with a 5-5 stretch or a 2-8 stretch, Rick. That's the problem. That's why we get frustrated, Rick, because when they win 9 games in a row, they follow it up by losing 9 out of 10 games. It's the inconsistencies. If you would win 9 games in a row, then go 5-5, then win 5 in a row, then go 4-6, then win 5 in a row and go 6-4. That's fine. But when you go 9-0 and then 0-9, which 1-9, that's the problem. Trey is more of the chess game. It is a general approach is pretty similar. I just see him. I just feel I see Trey Turner slapping more singles, getting on base at a better percentage. And he's been bouncing around the lineup a lot too. And the great thing about Trey Turner, his defense is progressively getting worse. And I mean massively worse. And he's not letting it affect. Like, remember when 2-3 years ago, when Alec Bohm was really struggling at the plate, he let that affect his fielding even more. And when he was struggling in the field, it let it affect his batting, is what I meant. Trey Turner is not letting the fielding affect his plate approach at all, which is good. Because if he was hitting 220 with that defense, then we'd have a problem. Trying to down Cassidy is looking. Yeah, I kind of agree on that. Trey wasn't locking his elbow as much. You love to get very technical with me here. Not very technical for me. I'm not a very technical baseball guy. We only have 10 likes on this video. There are 15, 16 people watching constantly, and there's only 10 likes. Guys, you have to hit that like button. You have to share. You have to subscribe. And please vote on the poll. Should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander? Trey was always a defensive mess, even in Washington. Yeah. Like, why? Why does he insist on playing shortstop? Why does he insist on pushing that he's a shortstop? Now, I know moving him to second would create a price and stop problem, which I'm ready to have that conversation anyway. Or moving him to left field might not get any better, or center field. But when he's as bad as he is at shortstop, why does he push and force the thing that he has to stay? Because that was the conversation with Rob Thompson a few weeks ago, or Dave Dombrowski, that we signed him to be a shortstop. He wants to be a shortstop. We're going to let him be a shortstop till he can't be a shortstop anymore. That's the frustrating thing with Trey Turner there. We were just lucky enough to not see it as much in one. I absolutely agree. I know it's frustrating, but remember the 08 Phillies had a stretch in which they went 4-16 and lost 5 straight games and had an 8-game losing streak. It happens in baseball. But the 08's different, Rick. Because in 08, they were still a new thing, okay? There's a lot of unknowns on that 08 team. A lot of rising stars on that new team. They'd only been to the playoffs once. The difference between 08 and now is that there were a lot less expectations in 08. This 2025 Phillies team is now going to go on to their 4th straight year in the playoffs, all right? They've made a World Series 4 years ago, okay? They've regressed. They have major expectations because of the payroll, because of the star players, okay? They had 8 All-Stars last year. They might not have 8 All-Stars this year. There's a difference between expectations and players from 08 to 15, or 2020, 2015, 2025. So what is the poll result? Well, there's only 11 votes right now. So I'm still hoping, there are 15, 16, 17 people watching. We've only got 11 votes. Right now it's 55% saying no, 45% yes. So it's 6-5, no to yes right now. All right? But I don't think 11. I'd like to get to at least 20 votes to get an idea. Enjoy this win. The Phillies are going to lose again tonight. Mitchie Poo, they very well could. They very well could. The 08 team had a ton of injury during that stretch. The Phillies only have one real injury right now. It's only a 69% chance they will lose tonight. Oh, see, I see what you're doing. You're trying to trigger Mitchie Poo into a dirty joke. So Taguchi having to say, yeah, I remember that. Is K1 impressed I know how to say So Taguchi? I can, and I will. But yes, that was a very interesting time. There were a lot of interesting names that popped up on that Phillies team back then. Come on, no voters. We need a landslide. I don't know. I mean, look, I've made the case and I've made the argument on why I believe no, the Eagles should not sign Jaire Alexander. But I can make the case on why, yes, you signed Jaire Alexander. Yes, you signed Jaire Alexander because he's a 2-time second-team All-Pro. He's got 12 career interceptions because we don't have a playmaker in the secondary. Because Kelee Ringo is not good enough. Maybe. We don't know. But maybe somebody could say he's not good enough to be a starter on this team. Remember, when Darius Slay would go down mid-game, Isaiah Rodgers was brought in. In the Super Bowl, when Darius Slay missed time, Avonte Maddox jumped out on the field. Kelee Ringo was never the first guy up to fill in for Darius Slay last year. That could be an argument to be made where Jaire Alexander, if Vic Fangio after today says, I can't do it, we got a 12th vote. And it locked it up dead set, 6-6, yes, no on Jaire Alexander. I can make a case where that second cornerback position is a big issue. Unless you want to make Cooper Dejean an outside cornerback all the time, which then you've got a slot cornerback issue. So there is an argument to be made that bringing him in is a good idea. I don't agree. I don't like the idea. I don't think it fits the MO of the Eagles. But there's an argument made that it's good. Meanwhile, the Phillies have beaten the Cubs 3 out of 4 against the Cubs this year. And I would think they'd lose come playoff time to them. Sorry. 17 people now watching. There should be at least 17 likes. Hit that like button. And subscribe and share. And we don't have Rodgers anymore. And we don't have Isaiah Rodgers. Or Darius Slay. Or Avonte Maddox. Right now, you've got Kelee Ringo starting. You got Adoree Jackson, who's even older than Jaire Alexander. Okay? You've got Eli Ricks, who I want to know what. Was Eli Ricks never that good? Or did he just not develop? Because Eli Ricks was like a healthy scratch half of last year, maybe more than half of last year. What does Eli Ricks got to do to get on the field? Or is he just not the guy? So there is an argument to be made, and I always forget about mentioning Mac McWilliams. I'm going to say it before somebody else does. And you got rookie Mac McWilliams. I don't think they should bring in Jaire Alexander because he's going to want too much money. But there is an argument on the other side for the people that say, yes, bring him in. Peanut was the 12th vote. Peanut wants Jaire Alexander. Okay. Ringo going to be another Georgia Bulldog that becomes a strong contributor. We hope so. We think so, Rick. But doesn't it tell you something that even last year in his second year, he was the third option? What's up, Keith? How you doing today? Yes, let Ringo get. And Ringo is getting his shot. That's the other reason why they're not bringing him in. And I've said this countless times. The Eagles are not going to bring anybody big named in until at least the Eagles get 2 weeks of training camp in. And they don't have an exact date, tentatively set July 21st. So after today, we won't see the Eagles together till July 21st. Ringo's going to get till August 7th when the first preseason game happens. And we'll be live right here on this channel for the Eagles game. That is going to be when he gets his. Then, if it's not working out, then they'll scour the waiver wire. Then they'll scour the free agent wire. Oh, Ringo can't do it. Vic Fangio says, no, I need another option. Then they'll do it. But right now, Ringo's going to get today. He's going to get the first couple weeks of training camp at least. Yes, I agree. There's a reason Rick's played 2 different college programs. He played for 2 different college programs, or because he couldn't make it in one? Like explain that a little further. Ringo was buried behind great cornerbacks. I think you almost have to let him get his shot, or else it was a wasted pick. Yes, if you don't give him the shot, it is a wasted pick, a wasted investment. I get that 100%. And I agree with that statement. Will Alexander help the Eagles at cornerback? Yes. But the question is for how long during the season and at what cost. And I think the buts are why you don't make the move for Jaire Alexander. Because he's not going to sign the type of deal that Howie would be willing to pay. And B, what are you going to do? You crush Kelee Ringo's confidence by bringing in Jaire Alexander. Jaire Alexander gets hurt week 6 and is going to miss 8 weeks. Now you got to put Kelee Ringo back out there, whose confidence is already shaken. It's a shame. Eli Rick's going to be a depth player. Well, he's been a depth player for a while now. And the question is, why hasn't he been able to take that next step. I mean, there were injuries and there were moments last year. Like, here's an example. We all crushed Avonte Maddox, and he made a great play in the Super Bowl. Fantastic work. But Avonte Maddox stunk last year, obviously, and the year before that. Okay? They kept Avonte Maddox on the roster because Eli Ricks wasn't ready still. And I'm not sure why. Ricks couldn't hack that challenging LSU course load. Oh, is that what it was? Gotcha. All right, we're up to 13 likes. That's kind of weird that we're only at 13 likes. We should be consistently getting 20 likes on these videos, 25 likes on this video. But we're constantly, there's 13 likes, there's 13 votes. And Noah's pulled back ahead. So we're now at 7 no's, 6 yeses, should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander. So keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing, keep voting, guys, on these topics here as we continue to motor on along. I just don't think, there's questions in the secondary. There's a battle going on at safety. There's technically a battle at cornerback between Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. The question just is, do you need to throw another name into that battle? I guess is the way to say. And if you do need to add another name, you really go out. If you're going to get Jaire Alexander, the price he's going to only agree to means he's not in a battle anymore. That he's just given he's going to sign a contract that guarantees him a spot. Maddox was kept on the roster and kept Ricks off the field because Maddox is a known product in a real game that they can mitigate. Absolutely agree. I just always felt when we brought on Eli Ricks as a rookie, I think he was an undrafted free agent, right? He wasn't or was he a late draft pick? I forget where we got Ricks that offseason. But there was a lot of hype on YouTube and on Twitter about Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo and where they would fit in the Eagles secondary in the future. And there's a lot of people that were hyped about Eli Ricks coming to Philly. And I was sold on a bill of goods that Eli Ricks was a pretty solid guy. He just hasn't been able to do it. He hasn't been able to separate himself. I would argue that Eli Ricks is on a bubble for a roster spot this year. He's been here 2 years. This is his 3rd year. Your cornerbacks right now, you got Ringo, you got Quinion Mitchell, you got Cooper Dejean, you got Mac McWilliams. You got Adoree Jackson. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's the 6th guy right now. Do they keep 5 or 6? Depends on what happens in that safety room. There's an argument to be made that Eli Ricks ain't going to make this team. That one of these back-end depth guys, like Fields or Nickerson, maybe they can even beat him out for that 6th cornerback spot. But all of that combined still makes me not want to bring Jaire Alexander. We're back to 50-50. 7 votes yes, 7 votes no on bringing Jaire Alexander to the Eagles. I look at it another way. If you could only sign one, Jaire Alexander or Justin Simmons, Jaire Alexander 28, Justin Simmons 31, who would you rather bring in? If you're going to bring in one veteran secondary person, who would it be? Would it be a safety or a cornerback? And then to me, if you're going to spend on one of them, you probably lean to the secondary, to the safety position. Ricks was undrafted. That's right. I thought so. Just checking. Ricks is going to see service this season because Maddox hasn't been re-upped, which means he's a known entity. Maddox signed. I forget where Maddox signed. Maybe. But I think there's an argument to be made that he doesn't even make the team. Bad news, Phil. My attorney advises that the phrase "can't up the club from the tub" was copyrighted by Marcus Aurelius in 139 AD. Gotcha. So neither of us can copyright it. That bastard, Marcus Aurelius. How dare he? Oh, we need more help at safety. And hear me out here on this one. And this might piss people off when I say this. Where I say Eli Ricks is on a roster bubble spot, maybe. Doubtful, but maybe. I think Sidney Brown is also, for the same reasons as Eli Ricks, technically, in my opinion, a roster bubble spot right now. You got Drew Makuba going to start next to Reed Blankenship. And the fact that Tristan McCullum got snaps last year over Sidney Brown. And when you hear Vic Fangio talk about Sidney Brown, kind of the same way as he talked about Bryce Huff last year. Not one of his guys. Maybe not a fit for his system. Maybe not picking up his system. I can make an argument that Eli Ricks and Sidney Brown could, in theory, be cut before the season starts, which would mean you would need a Justin Simmons or Jaire Alexander or somebody else to fill those roster spots. Max signed with the Pats. For some reason, I was going to say the Falcons, but it might be Pats. You might be right on that. Good morning, Jonathan Harvey. How you doing? Eagles should consider Jaire if he is okayed by their medical staff, and the Phillies are showing again that change is necessary. So, touching on both topics. Jaire Alexander, Jonathan, I think the people that have been listening for the last 45 minutes agree that Jaire Alexander, the talent is there. Jaire Alexander is also a locker room issue, and he's going to be very expensive. More expensive than the Eagles are willing to pay. And yes, Kevin Long should be the scapegoat already, in my opinion. Nope, I'm wrong. So I'm wrong too with the Falcons. You say that? Detroit. Good for Detroit. They could deal with him. Sidney Brown will be the starter, Keith Blackman says. Keith Blackman. Why do I say Beekman? Beecham. Keith Beecham. I disagree with that. I don't think Sidney Brown is going to beat out the rookie. And that's why I think that Sidney Brown's on the roster bubble. I think that Tristan McCullum would have a better chance at starting over Sidney Brown. Not because he's a better player, but because what you saw last year and the way Vic Fangio speaks, I just don't think he's a Vic. You know, we got the Paul Heyman guys. Well, Sidney Brown's not a Vic Fangio guy. The talk about putting Cooper Dejean at safety from time to time tells me that they're not confident in their safety room. Saying you're going to put Cooper Dejean at safety potentially at times tells me that they like Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo, et cetera, but they are really unsure at safety. Talking about Cooper Dejean at safety lends me to believe that maybe Justin Simmons is actually on the table in the conversation. Good hips, but Rick's a little slow, ain't he? I don't know. We haven't seen Rick's at all. We never see Rick's on the field. So it's definitely Detroit. Good for him. I actually think I remember Rick's or Maddox going there and messaging my man. Which one of my bad takes are you talking about this time? Sidney Brown's not going to be a starter? I don't know. I don't think Brown had learned enough to be in the starting lineup. He had injuries, etc. And I might be wrong. And I'm not saying I want these guys cut. I'm just saying that there's that argument to be made. I'm trying to make arguments for and against Jaire Alexander and Justin Simmons. And I'm bringing different scenarios to the table. I think Ricks is just not smart enough to be an NFL DB. He was a 5-star coming out of high school and wasn't even drafted. That alone tells you something. It's an interesting way to put it. Trot Jr., Sidney Brown, and Keely Ringo are your starters. Trot Jr., yes, by default, okay, because Todd Campbell and Nakobe Dean will not be ready. Keely Ringo is going to have every opportunity, yes, to be the starter. And that's why they're not bringing in Jaire Alexander. Sidney Brown, I just don't know. I want to love Sidney Brown. Loved his rookie year, some of those big special teams hits he had. I'm just putting clues that I'm seeing and reading and listening. I'm putting the clues together. And Sidney Brown seems to be teetering for me right now. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had the pump man on the show. According to Ian Rappaport, the Steelers All-Pro T.J. Watt seeking a new deal is not in attendance at mandatory minicamp. Interesting. What's with defensive ends? You got T.J. Watt. You got Trey Hendrickson. Got a lot of guys holding out for more money. It's something. Second grade teacher, I see. I'm not, and I'm still not 100% positive. Is it sign or seen? I've been told multiple things. Lewis C, just without the K. Another Georgia Bulldog, right? Pumpman says Sidney Brown was a lone bright spot in 23. It's been reported he had a tough recovery. Yes, it has. And that's why he hasn't been cut yet. And this year is the real test for him. I just don't know if it's a lock that he's going to be a starter this year. I don't even, like I said, I'm not predicting he's going to be cut. I'm saying there's an argument to be made that he's on a bubble for a roster spot. Again, if Justin Simmons is on the table, if Cooper Dejean is really on the table to occasionally spot fill in at safety, that tells me that they're not happy with their safety room in Drew Makuba, Reed Blankenship, Tristan McCollum. McCollum last year, now it could be because of the recovery. But late in the year, when they needed fill-ins at safety, it was McCollum up first. When Vic Fangio spoke 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, he hyped up Tristan McCollum. He didn't say anything glowingly about Sidney Brown. So it seems like if you're talking about Vic Fangio's safety power rankings on the Eagles, Sidney Brown would be fourth in my opinion. Ringo looked better as he got more playing time. Ricks hasn't gotten enough snaps to really know anything about him. And that's the thing. That's why I asked. I don't know why Ricks hasn't gotten anything. More people have said it's seen, Lewis seen, than signed. So I am going to lean towards seen, but I can't trust you guys with name pronunciations. You guys would mess with me for anything. Trot Jr. will not get off the field this season. If he's healthy, he will start all. That's a bold prediction, Keith. And I love bold predictions. If this bold prediction is right, then that means John Campbell will be playing on the outside a lot more than in the middle. And if this comes true, I think this Eagles defense is even scarier than ever before. Because Trot Jr. playing all 17 games, picking right up where Nakobe Dean left off last year. If Zach Bond, picks up right where he left off last year. And then you have John Campbell that can play all over the defense. Help your pass rush, which is still a question mark to me. I don't know if this is going to happen. I think it's a bold prediction that if you were right on this, Keith, would mean a top 5 defense for sure for the Eagles again next year. Ricks hasn't gotten plenty of looks in practice, or has gotten plenty of looks, and has looked horrible in the games he's played. He's our best special. That is true. Sidney Brown is a great special teamer. I just wouldn't say there's no chance. And again, I'm bringing up topics, not necessarily my opinions, topics. And I would say Eli Ricks or Sidney Brown's getting cut. I wouldn't put 0. I wouldn't put 50%. I would say like 10 to 15%, which is not comfortable. Steen, Ringo, Ricks, all very, very good special teamers. Ricks even elite. Well, Eli Ricks was a healthy scratch a bunch last year. All right, up to 16 votes on the poll now. We're back to even, 50-50, 8-8. Yes and no, should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander? Campbell is not good enough an off-ball backer to start as a rookie. He will get spot snaps. That's interesting. I've not heard many people say that, Keith. I've had a few people say that he isn't going to start right away because of the injury, but never people questioning his tackling and stuff like that. I think he's going to have the career or the season path, not the career path, the season path of Cooper Dejean. Sporadically at first, and then the talent will take over. But if Trot Jr. is playing so elite, see the difference between Cooper Dejean last year and John Campbell this year is Cooper Dejean was able to steal that from Avonte Maddox. Because Avonte Maddox stunk. Will John Campbell have somebody to steal the job from? That's the question. If Trot Jr. plays like you claim he's going to play, then no. But we'll see. I'm a big fan. Good morning, Little G. Hope you are well. Sorry, Ringo, elite special teamer. Has he even played that much on special teams? Trot will be going to be tested. I hope. Because I want to be wrong that Trot was just a draft pick that was just because of the name. Like a pity thing almost. Well, thank you, senior, for all you did. We'll draft your son. I hope I'm wrong. And if you're right, guys, that also spells the end of any time I ever see Nakobe Dean ever again. I really wish this team would try Sidney Brown as a kickoff returner. Has he ever done it? Because Sidney Brown, what makes him great on special teams is also what makes him bad on defense. He's full bore, straight ahead, take your head off type of guy. Doesn't know how to throttle down, adjust, pivot. In theory, that disregard for your body attitude that he takes on special teams might work as a kick returner. But does he have the ability to hold onto the ball? And has he ever done it before? I don't know. But it would be intriguing and interesting. Is this right? Well, I feel bad for him. Yeah, he should, unless he fumbles. Who knows? Poor Kenny Gainwell has to play with all-time great Aaron Rodgers now in Pittsburgh. Good for him, right? Good for him. Kenny Gainwell gets Can Kenny Gainwell? We're up to 15 likes now. Good for me. Can Kenny Gainwell renege on his contract because he doesn't want to play with Aaron Rodgers? Has that ever been done before? Sign a contract, then somebody else gets signed. You're like, yo, can we tear this contract up? I want out. I don't want to play with that guy. Ricks is just a good special teamer. Ringo is elite special teamer with long downfield strides. It doesn't translate well at cornerback. Trot can play, Phil. He ain't no charity case. I hope so. Now, we didn't see it on the field last year. Not because of anything he did or did not do, but because Zach Bond, boom, came out of nowhere, became an all-pro. Because Nakobe Dean, arguably, before he got hurt, was our second best. I mean, he was having a phenomenal season. And then they talked about putting Trot Jr. in there when Nakobe Dean got hurt. But Oren Burks played so well that they couldn't take him off the field. So Trot didn't do anything wrong to not get on the field last year. Much. I mean, he played in Week 18, and he had a few plays here and there. But I want Trot Jr. to be great. Because that's how this team will continue to be successful. They're young draft picks to continue to work out. If Jaire Alexander Jr. works out and becomes a great player, he's here for the next couple of years on a very cheap rookie contract, which helps you pay Jalen Carter, helps you pay Nolan Smith, helps you pay Quinion Mitchell. There's a lot better things happen from these young guys working out than not. Trot might end up being like Blankenship has been the last 2 years. Trot will be good enough, but not great or perfect. I kind of like that. I mean, good. And that's what Reed Blankenship is. He's good. Not great, not bad. There's a reason why Reed Blankenship hasn't gotten an extension yet. Because he's good, not great. Maybe they're hoping that Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba are their starting safeties in the future. That's why they haven't extended Reed Blankenship. But I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm just putting out theories and ideas in the world. None of these are my opinions, Keith. Pump man. Just putting theories. Ideas into the world. Topics of discussion that aren't clickbaity. Gainwell will do great in Pitt. Rodgers will use that running game to protect his aging body, which can't scramble anymore. And Kenny Gainwell is a solid blitz pickup guy. You either got the hips, swivel. Gnomes loves hips. Gnomes is a big fan of hips. You really stare at men's hips very often. And I don't know what that says. You love your hips. It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. Guys, it's the top of the hour. It's 9 o'clock. It's trending in the AM right here on the SCT Sports Network. If you haven't already, hit that like button. We have 15 likes. It should be closer to 20. So please like if you haven't done it. It's free to hit that like button. It's free to share this out on social media. It's free to subscribe. And it's free to vote. We're 16 votes in on the poll. Should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander? 50-50. 8-8 so far. Let's keep the votes going. Please like and share and subscribe. We're talking Jaire Alexander. We're talking the Eagles' defense in general today a lot. We're talking Phillies. What needs to change for this Philadelphia Phillies team going forward? For them to build confidence in the fan base. And guys, like I said earlier, stay tuned this week. Tomorrow, join me at 8:30 a.m. from the cheap seats. Jason Ashworth. Can't wait to have him on there. The original 97.5, the Fanatic Dream Job winner. If you remember that, like over a decade ago. And then Thursday on the show at 8:30 a.m., one of my favorites, Ed Kratz from Sports Illustrated, will be joining the show to talk Eagles and today's mandatory minicamp, which is going to go on today. I haven't seen any reports who's going to speak to the media before. I haven't seen about the timing of it or anything like that today. We're up to 17 votes, and we've swung to the no column. 53 no. So that would be 9-8 no to yes on Jaire Alexander. But guys, please keep hitting those buttons. It's free to do. I have a sneaky suspicion that Blankenship has been offered an extension. He and his agent don't like the number. That very well could be the case, Doc. Now, I would counter that, and I'm not saying this is the case or my opinion, that if he doesn't like the offer he was given, why was he at the voluntary OTAs? Do you really? Yeah, I mean, I guess he's a good teammate and a good, nice guy and all, but he's putting himself at risk. Isn't he? In that situation, wouldn't you hold out for what you want or a trade to another team that will give you what you want? Isn't that normally what happens? And maybe that is going on behind the scenes. I don't know. I don't know if Reed Blankenship is actively going to play on a 1-year, $1.5 million deal or whatever it is. Actually, I have Spot Track up in contracts. Reed Blankenship, $1.85 million. Well, that's his cap hit. Just says his cap hit there on his contract. Let me pull up him specifically. Reed Blankenship is a cap hit of 1.8. His base. So yeah, he's making 1.8 this year. Actually, he's actually making $1.8 million this year. Like, are you really going to play on that? Now he might really. I've said this before. Reed Blankenship to the Eagles is probably worth 3 years, $10 million, 6 guaranteed. On the open market for a former Super Bowl champion of an elite defense, he's probably worth 3 years, $20 million, with 12 or 14 guaranteed, maybe $25 million. So does he risk playing on a 1-year deal to get much more money in the offseason, or does he sign a cheaper extension to stay here? That's a question. We got Lewis seen so late last year, and it could be related to your Blankenship theory. Yeah, I mean, he's another guy. He was at the OTAs because he doesn't want to cause waves while they're actively negotiating. And that could be very well be the case. This locker room of the Eagles is tight. This locker room is full of team first, player second attitude, which you love. That's great to see. You got to love that everybody, and the one bad egg that puts himself ahead of everybody else, out there yapping again, but he's going on in our team, and that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Why can't that guy just have 1 year where he creates no drama, CJ? Now, after hearing him yap again, I'm glad he's gone and off our team. Truly, I am. We will see just how much it motivates Blank if he somehow starts playing well with his back to the line of scrimmage. Then I would give him the money, but he's no Harrison Smith. Look, Reed Blankenship he's a solid guy. It's all right. Doesn't do anything special. But again, when we talk Jaire Alexander, when we talk Justin Simmons, which one they go with, if either, or when they bring somebody in, tells a story. If they brought in Justin Simmons on a 1-year deal, tells me that they're not confident in Sidney Brown, Lewis Seen, any of those other guys. Ed Kratz is great. I love Kratz. No clickbait stuff, honest, very basic, nothing over the top. And I love that. That's why he's on my short list. It's Ed Kratz, it's Chris Franklin, it's Martin Frank. They're my 3 go-tos when I need an Eagles beat reporter on the show. They're the GOATs, in my opinion. Without a doubt. Blank may be worth one worth more to the Eagles than to the rest. He might be worth more to the Eagles than the rest of the NFL. Interesting. I think if he was worth more to the Eagles than the NFL, he would have already signed his long-term contract. Or longer extension. Not long-term. He's not getting a 5-year deal or anything like that. Blankenship also has a very squeaky clean rep. That is his selling point for a guy at his playing levels. He started for the bottom third of the NFL, bench everywhere else. And also, he's part of the exciting whites. Can't break up Coop and Reed, can you? Coop and Blank. There's something about keeping the continuity together. I think Reed Blankenship would thrive if Andrew Makuba or Sidney Brown are better than Chauncey was last year. You put a better safety next to him, maybe he thrives a little bit more. It's funny. We were talking Jaire Alexander, and it turned into the safety position. Because Jaire Alexander, you can make the case that we're deep enough at cornerback. There's a lot of opportunities there. There's some unproven talent. But safety, it's questionable. Who coined exciting whites? I don't know. I thought it said at first, who cares about the exciting whites? You got the vanilla gorillas, so the exciting whites can still remain. Yeah. They're going to go after the trios championship this year. All right? You got to have a trios champion on the team. Ty Robinson will be an interesting name to watch in camp. And what kind of snaps he gets early on in the season. Obviously, you got Moro Jomo stepping up in place of Milton Williams, Jordan Davis and his Peloton stepping up, Jalen Carter. But Ty Robinson's going to expect to be the fourth guy right away at that tackle position. A lot less to learn at defensive tackle than there is at safety or linebacker for Vic Fangio. But I'll be curious to see how much confidence he gets, how quickly in Ty Robinson. Vic Fangio, that is. Ike Reese and his show is believed coined exciting whites. Gotcha. I'm going to believe you on that. For a free trip to Fox's Pizza, who coined the Legion of Doom? I don't know. Ty Robinson is a beast. He is. He should be. He could be. We're going to find out. Because I don't think when you look at the rest of the defensive tackle depth, Booker, Byron Young, Gabe Hall, that's it. Honestly, there's only 4 defensive tackles for sure that are even locks to make the team. Thomas Booker was on here last year. I guess he's your 5th guy. Jordan Davis better, actually, now that I'm looking at the depth chart of defensive tackle, Jordan Davis better be ready to bump back up to 48, 50% snap count. I think 46 or 44 2 years ago was his highest. I mean, Jalen Carter plays 90% of snaps. I would actually make an argument that Jalen Carter needs to drop his snap count down a little bit. Playing 95, 100% of snaps is not good for long-term health and stuff. Getting him down that 80% range would be probably good for his long-term endurance. According to the internet, if it was a fan, they cannot identify because the memes started rolling out so fast. Interesting. Clue is that he is currently an NHL head coach. What? Flyer center Jim Montgomery coined the Legion. Oh, you're talking about the Legion of Doom thing. Yeah, I don't know. It started from wine shops. They would have a new white wine they were trying to sell, and they started labeling exciting whites. Interesting. Get that man a Fox's Pizza Pass. I did not approve any free pizza, just so you know. Did not approve any free pizza. Nothing in life is free. Although I will say, this is not free. But you know what? I want to go on a little side tangent. A rant as Mitchie Poo likes, but a positive rant. Okay? I want to take a moment out here. All right? Constantly on social media. The fanatics, the merchandise store. They constantly get crushed. And rightfully so. All right? I just want to give a positive review for them. So I got a Super Bowl shirt, long sleeve shirt, okay, from them. The logo was kind of printed crooked. Not majorly crooked, but crooked. And I didn't notice it at first. I wore it twice, then noticed it on the third time. Like, oh, shit. Do I have my shirt on crooked or something wrong? It was crooked. And I just put out a random tweet about how excited I was about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl that I didn't even realize this mistake. Well, Fanatics reached out to me, okay? Not only did they refund the shirt, okay? Not only that, but they sent me an Eagles Super Bowl hoodie, more expensive than the shirt I got, okay? And then sent me another follow-up thing. I don't even know what's coming in the mail today. So they refunded the shirt, they sent me a hoodie, and something else. And have been nothing but fantastic. So, I always say as a pizza shop owner, you hear all the complaints, but no one ever says, thank you, you did a great job. So while we hear all the complaints about Fanatics, I want to say thank you to the Fanatics for handling my situation, which I didn't even want anything. I was still going to wear the crooked logoed shirt. Who cares? But they took care of it. So use that little rant to say, if you have a good experience somewhere today, leave a positive review. Call the business and thank them. Shout out a business on social media. Now, preferably small businesses, not a big business like Fanatics, but that's who I've had an experience. Far too often, businesses only hear the negative. They never hear the positive. And it's something that people need to do more of, okay? Fox's Pizza. Buy the pizza and get the box. It's in it for free. Yeah. I will hand it to you for free. Ty Robinson, let's see what he looks like in pads. Everyone shines in shorts. I think that's a fair comment, mister. We all love the guy. I mean, we have what he looked like in pads in college. We have that tape, but that's about it. Meanwhile, Montgomery should have been hired by the Flyers when he left Boston, but Briere is a terrible GM and dropped the ball again. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about the Flyers, Rick. I don't. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about them around the draft with what they do. Was watching Youngblood this morning. I forgot what a brick shithouse. Never seen Youngblood. Never. You know what we're watching on Netflix? Or not on Netflix, on HBO. And it's annoying me because it's a 1 week, one of those shows now. Streaming shows don't just release all at the same time. They go week to week, some shows now. So it's really annoying. Okay? My wife's got me hooked on Mortician on HBO Max. A show about David Scones, who was a mortician that committed it's a documentary miniseries, committed some atrocious crimes at his funeral parlor in L.A. in the 80s, and I am hooked. Now, mind you, let me preface this by saying, for those that don't know, my wife is a mortician. She works at the pizza shop with me every day. She doesn't work in the funeral business anymore, but that's what she went to college for and spent the first 15 years of her work life as a mortician. She's still a licensed mortician. She just doesn't practice very often. She's a fill-in at a place occasionally just to keep her license active. Let me tell you something. This David Sconce guy, man, a major D-bag, a major criminal, and it's got me hooked. And I'm not into that kind of stuff. It's crazy. Louis G's is a small business, and Sewell makes one of the top 3 cheesesteaks I've ever had. Well, that's great. Now go leave it on social media somewhere and tag them so they know. Us business owners, Rick, we never get kind words said about us. So when we do hear them, it means even more. Because we know when social media is silent, we know we're doing a good job. People are often ready to complain about small businesses, but they're very rarely willing to thank the small businesses. You bring me one of those cheesesteaks and I'll to taste test, and I'll give you one of my pizzas to make up for it. All right, we're up to 18 votes now on YouTube. 9-9. And the Philadelphia Eagles fans that have tuned in are split on Jaire Alexander. Should he be a Philadelphia Eagle? Interesting. Interesting how it's played out over the last 75 minutes. We are in the final 15 minutes. We're still stuck at, we're up to 16 likes. All right. There's 16 people watching us, so we should get a few more likes and a few more votes on this poll. Should the Eagles sign Jaire Alexander? What do the Eagles need to change? You did. Well, thank you. Well, you work in the food business, so you know. Why? That's appreciative, Rick, because most people don't do that. Okay? Steven jumping in late saying sign Jaire Alexander. At what cost? I don't think he'll take the cheap contract that you think that he would, or that the Eagles would need him to bring him in. Adam, you are the best. All right? You always show me massive support, and I appreciate that. But you and Rick are rares. You guys are the rarity. And that's why I want to shout out Fanatics, because despite not being a small business, they did go over and above on fixing a small problem. If Aaron Rodgers and Rob Thompson were both hanging on the cliff and you could only save one, what kind of question is that, Mitchie Boo? Stop. That's a nonsense question. I got a bad shoulder, so I don't think I can lift either with my right arm. Minnesota might grab Jaire. I think interest should be there. I think Minnesota, Dallas, Washington, any contending team will make a phone call. I don't think that contending team should be the Eagles. And that's fine. And I know you said that like 3 times, and I get that. That's not even why I'm out on them. It's the money. It's the injuries. I got my focus on the Eagles winning the Super Bowl this year. But I got my lazy eye off to the side occasionally, keeping an eye on next offseason. Because next offseason is going to be one of the most difficult off seasons in Jalen Hurts, or in Howie Roseman's career, to find a way to keep us competitive, but pay Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter what they're going to get paid. So whenever we talk about this season, we've got to keep that lingering eye on next offseason as well. Whatever happened to that woman that talked shit on Twitter about you? What woman? Which one? I mean, there's lots of people that talk shit on me. And you got to be more specific. It's not a crime to do nothing. It's not. I would say Aaron. Oh. Aaron Rodgers, I can't stand the guy. I'd probably save Rob. I actually like Rob. People think I hate Rob Thompson. I like Rob Thompson. I'd love to have a beer and talk baseball with him. I just don't want to be the manager of my baseball team. Yeah, sorry, I'm late. Damn work. How dare you let work overtake this? Cubs blew last night. Yeah, exactly. And stay tuned tonight, 6:30 special, slightly later start time. Fairway to Heaven, talking the U.S. Open from Oakmont. Steven Fuentes, Jason Sullivan, and myself. Super excited. I love the U.S. Open, the carnage. I mean, I get blasted about once every couple months. So I tell you a news story, Nooms. I don't know about that woman, but here was my story from last week. You want a pizza shop rant, Nooms? So last week, I think it was on Wednesday night or Thursday night, because Claire was my delivery driver. Lady called, never ordered before, took her address, whatever. She wanted 16 extra well-done wings and an order of fries. Good, sent them. Got a call back from her about 15, 20 minutes after it was delivered. Blasting me. You changed your wings. These are the worst effing wings I've ever tasted. How dare you change them and not let me know? I'm like, man, we've never changed our wings. We've been using the same wings for 12 years. No, you have not. I'm like, well, actually, ma'am, this is your first time calling us. You are not in our system. And she's like, how dare you say that? I order twice a week from you. I'm like, honestly, I've never heard of your address before, so no. And I even went onto the side computer and looked. She never ordered from another computer. She yelled and screamed and cussed at me because I changed my wings, and she's been a customer for a decade. We never changed our wings. She has never ordered from us. My delivery driver drives 5 days a week. Never been to that house before. All she wanted was something for free. And I gave her something for free. So I don't want her to go away unhappy. Let me tell you something. Yelling at me and telling me a lie to try to get something normally ain't going to get you anything. I hate that. If the Phillies are this bad without Harper, he may be worth the pay increase. Somebody said the other day maybe he's sitting out because he's not going to fight through the pain because he didn't get the pay increase. Just saying. Meanwhile, Rob Thompson has the best winning percentage of any manager. So what? So what? The grass isn't always greener, but sometimes the grass is greener, Rick. Now, Daryl Morey, stop with your nonsensical questions. My godfather had a shop 30 years right near the Ellsberg Circle in Cherry Hill. Look, I've been in the restaurant business for 30 years. Owned my pizza shop for over 17. I'm ready to sell and tap out. Mainly because of customers like that. Yeah, you know what it probably was, Delco? Green, and what's up, my man? Welcome to the show. Vote, like, share, subscribe. I just... She definitely didn't like the price she paid. Older lady, unhappy with the price. So I'm going to say I don't like it and get something for free. Exactly. The wings are great. Raymond's Pizza one day, Jerry Stackhouse rolled as I was eating there. The amount that dude ate was unreal. The only famous person that I know of that's eaten at my Fox's Pizza, he ordered for delivery. And I've told this story before. Maybe you've never heard it. B.B. King, before he passed away, obviously, was performing at Longwood Gardens and staying at the Hilton in Kennett Square. And somebody called from the hotel, placed an order for delivery. And I always ask, when we deliver to hotels, I always ask for a last name. Because most people don't know their hotel room, or they get their hotel room number wrong. So if you can't find them, you go to the front desk and say, I got an order for X last name. This guy called an order and says, the room's under King, as in BB King. I'm like, haha, funny. Send up the food. Driver comes back. They call again and say, man, BB King really liked your wings. Can we get another order of wings? Sure, send them up. The driver comes back a second time and hands me a handful of autographed pics and things. I'm like, hold on a second, Rainey. Was BB King really there? He's like, I don't know who BB King is. Is he somebody famous? I'm like, are you kidding me? You met BB King twice, don't know who he is, and I could have taken that second delivery and met BB King? And then I go online, I'm like, holy shit, he is actually playing at Longwood Gardens. So it was really BB King eating my wings. So that lady that hates my wings were the same wings that BB King liked so much that he had to get them twice. Yeah. Getting to the playoffs isn't good enough, Rick. I want to be considered a real, true championship contender. Getting to the playoffs is not good enough. Well, people are crazy. She should be in a crazy... Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people that are crazy. Stop nonsensical questions. Mike Rozier is in my bar almost every day. Coolest athlete I've ever met. One of the coolest people. Yeah, I don't get many famous people in the Kennett Square area, unfortunately. Unfortunately, Kennett Square is not ripe with famous people. It's unfortunate. I wish. You know what's funny? Back in the early, mid-'90s, a lot of Philadelphia Phillies lived out in this area. Obviously, Kurt Schilling had a driving range. I know where Brett Myers and Kurt Schilling both used to live. Darren Dalton at one point lived out in, the Westchester, Unionville area. There used to be a lot of famous people out this way. Now they don't get there. It was okay that they missed the playoffs for a decade before. No, I was not okay with missing the playoffs. Making the playoffs when you're missing the playoffs is one thing. But once you get to the playoffs a bunch of times, you got to do more. That's the thing. All right, no playoffs for 10 years. Get to the playoffs for 2 or 3 years. Great. Now we're in year 4 of making the playoffs, right? 22, 23, 24. This will be year 4. We got to get more than just making the playoffs. All right? I would rather fire Rob Thompson, okay? What would you rather? Make the playoffs and lose in the NLDS with Rob Thompson, or fire Rob Thompson and either miss the playoffs or maybe win the World Series? If I just got a new job in Doylestown, how far is your shop? Doylestown, I have no idea, mister. Probably at least an hour. I'm in way southern Chester County. I'm only an hour north of Baltimore. Rick Brunson was in my bar around beginning of his past NBA season and did not seem thrilled with Towns' acquisition. Yeah, look, the Knicks are going to shake it all up again this year. Isn't tonight NBA Finals, Game 3? Is that tonight? Or is this another one of those, got to take 2-3 days off? Wednesday. Yeah, so another, we're going on, Thursday was Game 1, 7 days, 3 games with the NBA Finals. Ridiculous. Yeah, I got it. And I told you I wasn't okay with firing Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni and Rob Thompson are totally different cats. They lead and coach in two totally different styles. Plain and simple. Guys, final 5 minutes of the show. Like, share, subscribe. Final votes. We're still stuck at 18. 9-9. Yes, no, Jaire Alexander. Like, share, subscribe, vote. Do what you want. Tomorrow, Jason Ashworth, keep seats with E-Rock and Black Gritty will be joining the show. He's got some very interesting Phillies takes. Love Jason Ashworth. And he put my frustrations with the Phillies and Phillies fans that say I'm not allowed to feel the way I feel very eloquently in a video on Twitter the other day. So we're going to talk about the Phillies and why we're allowed to be frustrated with them. And it doesn't mean we're not fans of them anymore. So we're going to have him on the show tomorrow. We'll probably touch on the Eagles with him as well. And maybe we'll see about his career in media, leaving media, back in media. We'll talk about that. Talk about the changes in media with him as well. And then again, Thursday, Ed Kratz will be on the show. So, Phillies. I got to pull up the Phillies. I don't even know today's matchup. It's another 6:45 game against the Cubs. They got Colin Ray versus Mick Gable going for his third game. What do we get from Mick Gable game 3? Interesting question. It's an hour and 24 minutes from Doylestown. Gotcha. He's a good coach. Maybe not great. Yeah, we're going to give him the rest of the season, Rick. And then after the season, if we don't win a World Series, he's going to have to, if we don't get to the World Series, I don't think he has to win it, but he has to get to it. Phillies win 5-4. I think today's actually this week, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, and then again Friday. So it would be today. No, yesterday. Big week for Phillies, actually. If we get to 20 likes, awesome. I always like to see that 20 like button. Again, and how many championships he won. Whatever. Anyway, big week for the Phillies. You know why it's a big week for the Phillies? Something's going to happen for the first time this week with the Phillies. Andrew Painter is going to pitch twice in 1 week. The first time he's ever pitched on regular rest. Andrew Painter. It's great. E-Rock and Black Gritty are not coming on. Their co-host, Jason Ashworth's coming on. And I've had more famous people on than that in the past. I've had Ron Jaworski. I've had Jonathan Coachman, the coach. Let's see, who else has been famous that I've had on? Brian Mitchell. Pretty famous there. There's been famous people. I'm trying to think. I've had other heavy famous people on. But yeah, E-Rock and Gritty. E-Rock said no. I've asked E-Rock to come on before. And I've never asked Black Gritty to come on or not. He'll win his first championship this year. Well, I hope so. Unfortunately, yeah, look. Winningest coach of the losingest franchise in Philadelphia history. You're right on that. I mean, there's never been a sports franchise in the history of the world, dating back to the Roman Coliseum, that has lost as many times as the Phillies have lost. Let's just put that in perspective, right? 140 years, they've won 2 World Series. Got to keep that all in perspective there, I guess. All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. We got to say goodbye. I know. I was trying so good. I was doing so good. You made me. You brought it out of me, Rick. Guys, make sure you tune in tomorrow, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Let's bring all the good content for Jason Ashworth. 8:30 he'll be joining us. We'll be live at 8 a.m., of course. Thank you very much, Adam. Guys, if you're watching on replay, you still like, share, subscribe. The poll will end soon, so you won't be able to do that. We had a 50-50 on the poll, Jaire Alexander, yes or no. But anyway, everybody have a great Tuesday. Tune in live tonight, 6:30. Fairway to Heaven, U.S. Open Talk. We're each other's yin and yang for sure. Everybody have a great day, guys. All right, we're gonna have a good one today. We're gonna make some money. We're gonna do some golf talk tonight, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Go Birds. Bubbles up.